Hey, good evening, all. Good morning, all, wherever you are. In the previous video, we talked about the architecture of the snowflake, right? And we understand how it is different from the other distributed architectures, the way it will decouple the storage and compute and the pricing uh, per second pricing, etc. Right? That's a multi-clustered shared architecture. The way you can separate your different workloads using the warehouses and all. In this video, we are going to look at some of them in the hands-on. And before we get into the hands-on, let's try to understand some of the object modeling in the Snowflake. So, if you see this diagram, this is the very high level diagram of the object models in the Snowflake. So, at the top level, we have an organization. So, the organization is like your company or like a line of business in your company or organization in your company. So, and under that organization, you can have the multiple Snowflake accounts. So that means you are basically in the organization, you are grouping the set of the Snowflake account. So the maintaining and managing those accounts is can be done using the organization. Let's assume that you wanted to apply some kind of policies on all your Snowflake account, then you can apply it down to the organization level. It's get applied to your account. So it is like a consistency. It will allow you to do the consistency between all your accounts. So that is about the organization and the account. And whenever you sign up for the Snowflake, you will get an account, and that account can be get added to the organization. So some of the at the account level, we can set some of the properties. Those can be applied across all the at your Snowflake, all the objects. So below the account, we have some of the objects. So these objects, the one we very famous use one is the database. So the under the database, you have the schema. Schema can have your tables, views, tasks, streams, functions, procedures, pipes, and stage. We will go in detail of all of these items, all of these objects in few minutes. So at the in few minutes, when we if we go up one level up, that is at the database level, we have some of the other objects. So these are the accountable object, like the users you created logged into the system, and the roles, what roles is defined, the what are the permissions the user allowed to do. So the Snowflake follows the role based access control. So that roles are up, you define it here. And also the network policy is like, if you are both this apply to the both ingress and egress. Like if you wanted your Snowflake account to be connected from a certain range of IPs, not everyone else to connect that, then you can apply the network policy. In typical in the organizations, they will have a VPN, or like when you logged into their office desktop or VPN, then only you will allow you to connect to some of the sites. So uh, this network policy is used for the same reason. And the other component is warehouse. Warehouse is an engine, like the compute engine where you run your queries. So this is also an account level object. And the shades, so the shades is like, assume that you have some of the data sets and you own those data sets, and you process them and curate those data sets. And when you wanted uh, to share with your downstream consumers, you can use the sharing option without duplicating the data. And along with that, there is a resource monitor. So in the Snowflake is a cloud, right? In the cloud, you have to pay for all of the things. So when you are using the storage, compute, you have to pay for them, right? But you wanted to put some budgets and you wanted to monitor them. To give an example, is like you have some users, they are running the queries and they accidentally running a query, and that was running for more than 10 hours. Then you don't want the users to run those queries more than 10 hours, and you wanted to cancel those terminate those queries who are running for the long time. So those things, those kind of monitor policies, you can define it in the resource monitor. So this is about account level objects. We will go back into the database level objects now. So under the database, we have a different schemas. Schema. You can create a multiple schemas. A schema can have all these objects like the stage, pipe, procedure, function, tables, and all. So let's go by one by one. So under the schema, we have the table that we all know that in the SQL world. And under the schema, we also have stage. Stage, to give an example, let's say Snowflake is a cloud solution, right? So the Snowflake is accounts are available on the cloud. So you wanted to load some data into the Snowflake table, then you need to put it into some location where the Snowflake can read. So, and thus you can load it into the Snowflake. Stage is like a staging area for you. So in the stage, we have different kinds of stages, like the internal stage, external stage, and internal stage are further divided into the two. One is in a user stage, other is in a table stage. And the external stage is like, let's assume that you have some data sitting on your external object store like AWS S3 or Google Bucket. Then you can use those object stores as your stage also. So from there you can load the data into this actual Snowflake table. So that is about the stage. So just to recap, so the stage can be a temporary location where you can put your data before loading into the Snowflake table. And the stages are of two types: internal stages and external stages. External stages are like AWS S3 bucket, Google bucket, or Azure storage account. And the internal stages are like the user storage and the table storage. Whenever you create a table in the Snowflake, it an internal table stage gets created. So that with the same name of the table. So that stage can be used to place the data that is going loaded into the only to that specific table. And the user table is user stage is like you, that is like as a user, when you log in, you also get a user account. So that user stage, so that you can load the data into any tables. And we already talked about the external stage, that's an object storage. So the next thing is the pipe. Pipe is like an ingestion tool. Let's assume that you are receiving some data. You wanted this data to be loaded as soon as it's available on the staging area. So you can define a pipe saying that this is my staging area. So whenever you see a file, you load it into a specific table. That's about the pipe that will allow you to load dynamically as soon as the files are available. So the next thing is the procedures. Procedure are like the store procedures, the way you have it in other RDBMS or data warehouse solutions. So you can have, so if you wanted to achieve some task, like you wanted to run a set of SQL statements, as you wanted to make a modification to few certain rows in if multiple tables, you can write a procedure that will allow you to do the either update all the rows or none, all the tables or none. So that is about the procedures. And the functions is like a assume that you have some external processing that will allow you to do some activity and return some value, that will do some processing and return some value. And in the snowflake function, you can call those external functions like lambda or other functions. So, and you can send the data, column data, and then retrieve the column data and show it here. So the table, we know that. And the view is like a it's not it will not cost you any storage cost, but it's in a different view or different way to represent your table. So the view also have a different concept, like the materialized views and the secure views. So that we will go about them in the next video. And the next thing is the task. Task is like a assume that you wanted to do some kind of ETL. So you wanted to do some activity repeatedly, you can define it as a task. And then you can simply execute this task. It will do the actual data load or ETL processing for you. We'll also go as look at the task example in the next upcoming videos. And then we have the streams. The streams is like a which will allow you to like the way or take an example of you have a table and the table is getting updated, uh, and new data getting loaded, so you wanted to monitor those changes and take an actions. Then you can enable the streams on the table, so that you can see those changes and apply those changes back if in case of some revert those changes in case of some issue happen with your data load. So that is about the snowflake object model. These are the few of the object, but there are other objects also there, but these are the primary objects. Most of us use in our snowflake projects. Okay, so having said that, so let's get back into the snowflake and try to create some tables, database and schema, and see how it will work. Okay, so having said that, so let me go back here. Where is my snowflake? Uh, hmm, yeah, here is my snowflake account. Here is I logged in, and then um, I'm uh, So here I logged into my snowflake account, and and let me go and create some database tables. So for this one, let me go and for this demo, let me go and create